Hello, Daryl here. The channel is Programming in Any Language. The supporting website is programminginanylanguage.com or black-duck.com. They both take you to the same place. And it's a place where you'll find the videos and PDFs of the code. The video is Tab Order and Focus. Many applications require intense data entry on the part of the user. The speed at which a user can effectively enter data is greatly affected by the amount of time the user's hand leaves the keyboard to grab the mouse. As a programmer, it is our job to make the programs work well for our users. One very important way that we can do this is to make sure the cursor is always where the user expects it to be. That means logically tabbing through our forms. That means placing the cursor at the field where the user expects to enter data. And that needs to be done for the first record a user enters and continues for every record that follows. This video simulates a data entry screen. It's a mortgage calculation program. There are only 4 text boxes on this form, but if they are not set up in the proper order, it can be a real mess trying to enter data. Take a look. Today we're going to look at something that is kind of subtle, small, short, easy to do, but it's often overlooked when it comes to programming, especially if you're new to programming. It's called Tab Order and Focus. And what it does, it helps the user who's actually using a program to not have to use the mouse, but basically be able to tab through a form that you set up in a nice logical order. Let's take a look at this. Here's a good example of something I call the Acme data entry screen. And if you look at this, you got first name, middle initial, last name, address line 1, 2, city, state, zip, and you've got a bunch of buttons down here. I would like to position the user on this first name here. And then as the user types in a first name, I want them to hit tab rather than touching the mouse to be able to move to middle initial, last name, address line 1, 2, city, state, zip. And then probably from zip, go right down to the save button. And from there, back up to the tab entry up here, right at the top again, so they can start the next customer that's coming in or whatever they happen to have. How do we do that? You want to consider tab order when creating an application that requires the user to move from text box to text box or from button to button and so on. Anything you want movement on the screen. You want to avoid them having to take their hands off the keyboard and move to the mouse, especially when it's a very data-intensive application. When an application is running, one of the form's controls always has to focus. Focus means a control receives the user's keyboard input. When a user has the focus, pressing the Enter key can execute the button's click event handler. The order in which control receives focus is called a tab order. When a user presses the tab key to select controls, the program will follow the tab order. The tab index property, which most controls have, contains a numeric value indicating the control's position in the tab order. The value starts with 0. The index on the first control is 0. The nth control is nth minus 1. So you got 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on down the line. And you can actually have duplicates actually there. And tab order doesn't matter to some controls. To set the tab order for control, click the tab order on the View menu. This activates the tab order selection mode on the form. Simply click the control with the mouse in the order you want. Notice the labeled controls do not accept input from the keyboard. They cannot receive the focus. Their tab values are irrelevant. Consequently, a label could have the same tab index as a text box, for example. The label will be ignored. You can use the focus method to change the focus using the following syntax. Control name dot focus. This positions the cursor at the control you desire. The following changes the focus to name text box when the user clicks the clear button. We have a private void clear button click event, and we have name text box dot focus. That will position the cursor to the name text box for the user. I've actually created a program that I've used before, and I want to show you what happens when you don't have the tab indexes set, and we'll fix this thing. I'm going to start this program. It's a mortgage calculator program. I'm going to put in $100,000 in here. My hands are not on the mouse right now. I'm going to tab, and I go down to monthly payment, $1,000. I like to tab again. It goes down to the clear button. That's not what I want. I tab again, it goes down to the interest rate. Well, I want to put in the interest rate, but not exactly here, but I'll put it in. And I tab again. This time I go down the calculate button, and it pops up to the escrow amount. Well, the escrow amount is going to be $375.49. Now tab it again, and it goes down to exit. I'd like to calculate, so I'm going to tab again and tab again, going through all this stuff. There's my calculate button. Finally, I hit enter, and my program works. But it wasn't very clean. I would have had to take my hand off of the mouse in order to make this all work. When you develop your forms, you want to take a look at it. As you put controls on your form, they get that tab index number. So if I put this tab box in there first, before anything else is put on there, it'll have a tab index of 0. If I put this one on next, it'll have a tab index of 1, 2, and 3, and so on down the line. But I have to put these two down, and I start playing with buttons then, put these things on. They're going to grab the next focus or the next tab index. So consequently, these things may not be in the order that I would like to use them. How do you finish that up? We'll exit this program real quickly. I'll jump over here. If we look at this, and we put our cursor on the text owed amount text box, which happens to be text amount owed, as you can see here, and we drop down to our tab index key, which is way down here, it's a 0. And that's great. We want 0 in here, so we want to go here first. Well, what's this one? This one's a 1. Wow, so we'll tab to this next. What's this one? This one's a 5. Well, that's not quite right. This one is a 3. So 0, 1, I'd like to see a 2 here maybe, then make this a 3. I'd like to go from here to here to here. So I've got a 0, 1, I'd like to make this a 2. I'm going to change this to a 2. Great. Then I'm going to change this. This is going to be a 3. So 0, 1, 2, 3. That's exactly what I want. I'd like to drop to the calculate button next. I'd like to make this a 4. It is a 4. That's great. Okay. Then I'd like to go, probably set my focus to go right back up here to my first one. The clear button, the exit button, I don't really care what those numbers are. This one happens to be a 2. We can make that a 5 because I think we used a 2 before. And we'll make this one a 6, which it is. That's fine. So now we've got tab index of 0, 1, 2, 3. Our calculate button sitting down here. And that's all we have to worry about. We have tab index of 0 here and 3 here and 2 here, but they're irrelevant because they're labels. We'll never set on a label. So you can have any number in there that you want. It really doesn't make any difference. So the important ones we've got in place now. We've got the setup. I'm going to look at the code in the calculate button real quick. When I look at the code in the calculate button, it does all this calculation stuff. We're not going to worry about what it does. But it would be nice if it went up to the, when it's all done doing the calculations, if it went up to the next text box. Actually, we can probably do it this way. We can do it with a clear button. We'll look at our form. Our clear button is a 5, 4, 5. This might be the way to do it. So we'll double click on the clear button, and the clear button sets the user to enter data in the text box. It sets that focus amount now. Text amount owed.focus. That's our first text box right up here. Text amount.focused. Text amount owed is right here, which sets our cursor right up here, so we're set to go. And then it clears all of the rest of the data in all of the labels and the text boxes. Well, we made our fix. Let's see if this thing works. Here's our mortgage calculator. Once again, we'll put, and notice my cursor is sitting right up in the text box up here. So I'm going to put in $100,000. I'm not going to touch the mouse. I'm just going to tab $1,000 for the payment. My escrow amount, beautiful, tab right to it. 375.49. Tab again, 5% interest rate. Tab again, calculate. Bang. It does what I wanted to do. I'm going to tab again now so I can enter the next mortgage. Hit tab, goes to the clear button, hit enter, and now I can do my next one, $200,000. Make this one $2,000. We'll make it a $679.89 for our escrow amount. Again, 5% interest. Calculate. It does that one real nice. We can then tab again. Clear. That's it. That's what tab is all about. It helps you put structure in your form so that you tab nicely. You go from one position to another where you want to go. You're helping the user out to make this thing much more structured. They don't have to use that mouse. They can just type away like crazy. That's tab order and focus in a nutshell. If you think about that Acme data entry screen on the slides, you can see how the techniques used in the mortgage program could make life much easier for the data entry clerk working at Acme. Thanks for watching. Visit the website when you get a chance, and please subscribe to the channel. There's more stuff coming every week. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.